For those of you wishing to hear actual audio, you can use this opportunity to check your mic levels or your volume levels, and please indicate that you are able to hear me before we begin. So, hi everyone, good evening. We're about to begin in a moment now. Just wanted to give everybody enough of an opportunity to log in. We are about to start, and I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Gem. All right, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Well, tonight is going to be a wonderful night. I anticipate that it will be so. So, yeah. Okay, so let's get started here. I see that we have a few people have joined us already, and that's really good to see. I hope that everyone is home safely. And if you're not yet home and are somehow in transit and probably watching us on a mobile device, or you might be at work still and just watching us on your computers or on your phones or tablets or what have you, welcome, good evening. It is always with great pleasure that I take the opportunity to share with those members of our practice base, and not everyone who listens, admittedly, I understand that, are patients of ours. In fact, because we're leaving this up on YouTube, then I expect that from time to time, people who have nothing to do with our practice will find us. So you are all welcome, and it is really good to be able to share with you. It is my pleasure and it is my hope that as we go through tonight's proceedings, that we will learn from each other. I know that many times people expect that when they are a part of a session like this, that it's a one-way stream information. I do not want it to be a one-way stream kind of a thing. I want it to be a situation where we can learn from each other. I will put forward things that I understand, and I hope that if you have a different understanding or anything that you want to contribute, that you'll go ahead and type that in the chat so that we can all benefit. But it is what it is, and I'm happy to be here, to say the very least. And bearing in mind that, I got up a little late this morning. I only got up at 5 o'clock this morning. Normally I'm up a little earlier, but I got up about 5, a little bit later than normal, to work out, and then got back home, got dressed, came to work, and I'm still at work. Work got done at 5 o'clock today. I just got about a 10-minute shut eye and then I'm back in. So understand that if I didn't enjoy what I did, that I probably wouldn't be doing it, right? And if I didn't enjoy presenting this information to you, I probably would have just scrapped it a long time ago. But even amidst the curfew situation, we still soldier on, and I think it's important, and I'm glad that we do have this opportunity. So I'm grateful. So let us begin with the reason that we're here. And as I said before, if it's your first time joining us and you have not yet um, contacted us via the chat section or sent in your name via the chat, I'm going to ask that you go ahead and do so now, because the way that YouTube works is that you do not know who's viewing. All viewers are anonymous. You only know that someone is viewing your video when they comment in the chats. So I'm going to ask, because I really want to know who among you, patients of ours especially, have logged on. If you can just go ahead and just comment in the chat, just indicate your name. That will serve as our official register for the lecture, and that at the end of the time there's a special announcement, as an announcement that will be made, that hopefully you will be able to benefit from if your name is in the chat. Okay, so let us begin. So the topic for today's class is the 7 keys to getting and staying well. The 7 keys to getting and staying well. And this is a potentially, well, an interesting topic, right? And my hope is that it's not wrought with controversy. Sometimes we go into some controversial waters, and tonight I'm going to try my best to toe the line, so to speak. All right. Normally, this is a fill in the blank section, a fill in the blank lecture, but because you do not have access to the information that are there for the fill in the blank, for you to be able to fill it in, if I find a good way that you guys can participate and fill in the sections without having to go to another device, download it, write it out, print it, and all of these things, then I'll start doing this again. But if you know of a way that we can get you to just fill in the information as we're going along, that would be good. Please share that with me. As of now, I do not yet know that information, but it's a fill in the blanker. But the point of it is this: if you're making notes, I'm going to encourage you to just write down the bolded items. All right, the bolded items are the items I want you to focus on during the presentation, and so you will see those items as we go along, right? The bolded items. So let us begin. All right, so let me try to help out somebody here who seems to be having a little challenge. Shireen says that she's not hearing anything, so I'm gonna just comment. She probably needs to make sure that the video is live. So I just all right. So I think she's good now. Oh, it's Petula Taylor using Camelia's thing. Welcome, Petula. And Shireen, welcome. Yes, you are at the right place. Welcome. Auntie Oslin, welcome, welcome, welcome. Lorian, welcome, welcome. Didn't get to see you guys earlier and greet you properly. Patricia. So, yeah. Sonja, Gavain. Yeah, I didn't get to see you. Missed you guys. Missed you guys. But welcome. I hope you still are on. All right, so let's begin, shall we? So the topic is the 7 keys to getting and staying well. And the first key, key number 1, is understanding sick care versus health care. And I have to explain it because I use the terms a little differently, and I want to make sure you understand what I mean when I say certain things. So when we talk about the healthcare system, the primary focus of the healthcare system, as everyone can see and everyone who thinks about it will realize, is really just to care for those who are sick. The system focuses on caring for those who are sick. Because the sick person is the primary person that will take advantage of this system, the system is designed around that demographic, sick people. As a consequence of this, whether good or bad, the consequence of this is that their focus is on doing things to cater to this group of people. Now, the downside is many of the interventions that are made are not necessarily made with the expectation that the person someday will be perfectly well. The expectation is that if you are sick, you go to them, not if you are well. Wellness is not what they're about. It's not what the system is designed to take care of. It is certainly not what the doctors go to school to learn about. Doctors, medical doctors in particular, go to school to learn how to care for the sick. So they are experts in diseases and disease management. The difference that I want persons to think about is the group of healthcare providers whose focus is not on disease management, but on trying to optimize health and vitality. And that is the group of healthcare providers that typically fall under the realm of complementary and alternative medicine. Now, even though there are persons who may have an ailment or an issue that can benefit from persons in the complementary and alternative provider set of healthcare, you will find that a lot of people go to these providers when there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. And the reason they go is to increase the chance of them staying healthy and reduce the likelihood of them developing any ailments. And so this is what we're going to do. All right, we are going to ensure that we take care of persons, whether they are sick or whether they are well, anywhere they fall on the healthcare continuum or on the health continuum. That's what we want to be able to do. So I made that distinction because the healthcare system or the sick care system, which is a system that cares for the sick, has a very important downside. That downside is that it focuses on issues after they have already arisen. And so what you will end up seeing is persons in this arena are treated on a reactive approach. Something has to go wrong first before an intervention can be employed or applied. And that's a downside because that will always put you at a deficit. You're always working from a position of illness. You're never working from a position of health, trying to prevent illness from happening in the first place. You're working from a position of illness, trying to regain health. And that is the biggest downside of the healthcare system as we know it, or the sick care system. If you want to have a chance of true healthcare, then the approach has to be very different. We have to prevent things from going wrong in the first place. And to prevent things from going wrong, we employ what is called a proactive approach, meaning that we do a series of actions or we take a series of steps so as to prevent the illness from developing in the first place. If we can do that successfully, then we have a chance, and it's only then that we'll have a chance of achieving wellness or health, true health. And so this is what we're talking about today, because most of the persons who are in the hospitals right now are sick because of some lifestyle decisions that they make on an ongoing basis that leads them down the path of illness. It is sickness that or lifestyle choices that leads to sickness, that lead to sickness. If you want to be healthy, then you have to live according or in accordance with a healthy lifestyle. As the Bible says, right? No good fruit will bring forth bad seeds, and no bad well, let's say that a different. No good tree will bear bad fruit, and no bad tree will bear good fruit. You will know the tree by the fruit that they bear. And it's the same thing here. If you want to have a healthy lifestyle, if you want to have a healthy life, you have to have a healthy lifestyle. Health doesn't happen by accident. Health doesn't happen by coincidence. I hear people say all the time how lucky I am for being healthy or what have you. I work very hard to be healthy. I make a lot of sacrifices of temporary pleasures so that I can be healthy. Because for me, health is a priority. I'll say something not wanting to be controversial, but certainly not wanting to ostracize or alienate myself from anyone. But there are people who talk about um, different medical devices or medical procedures that they want people to participate in. And these people, some of these persons, because some of them are dear friends of mine, are pushing it very, very hard. And when you look at them, most of these persons are persons who don't follow very carefully good, healthy practices in life. Many of them are overweight. Many of them are on different types of medications because they don't live a healthy lifestyle. If you live a healthy lifestyle, your need for medicinal intervention goes down, and that is the whole point. But there are some people who want people to believe that doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how healthy you are, you can't resist or overcome illness or illnesses, especially certain types of infections. And that's not necessarily true, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much. Just to say this, while we respect each other, your lifestyle choices is the most important thing for you to make. Good, healthy lifestyle choices. Because if you make good, healthy lifestyle choices, then you're likely to be healthier than the person who makes poor choices. And your need for intervention goes down. Your need for medication goes down. These are all very, very important things for people to understand. So I hope you get that, right? I hope you get that. And certainly, you can't solve a lifestyle problem with drugs and surgery. I hope that is also abundantly clear. Now, whenever I'm talking to my people, I have to always try to get them to understand that the way that we think about healthcare or we think about our health is not in a way that is it's kind of not in a way that's intuitively natural for us to think in that way, because we are marketed to very, very heavily. Most people don't understand how many messages we get per day, per minute, per hour that guide us down a certain path. We see medications that tell us all the time that, or ads that tell us all the time that if we are sick or if we have itchy skin, or if we have this disease or that disease, that we need to tell our doctors to prescribe this particular drug or that particular drug. Or why don't you ask your doctor about this particular drug? It's as if they're trying to get us into the mindset of thinking an ill for every pill. Because right now there is a pill for every ill. There's almost a pill for everything that ails you. There's a pill that some man has made for it. The question that I have to ask is the pill the solution to your ill? And if it is not, then we have to figure out what the solution to the ill is, because illness is certainly not a state that we should be aiming to stay in. And the downside is that most of these things that we do, medications especially, preserve us or maintain us in our state of illness. They maintain us in our state of illness. And that is the problem. That's a huge, huge problem. So let us see. There are two ways of thinking when it comes to our health. We have a way of thinking that is taught to us by the system, so to speak, which is big pharma, the pharmaceutical industry. And if you didn't realize or understand that the pharmaceutical industry is in charge of healthcare in the world, you need to realize it. All right? Many people don't understand that every aspect of healthcare is controlled by the pharmaceutical industry. Drug companies, whether it's the WHO, whether it's the CDC, whether it's any governing body, every single one is controlled by the pharmaceutical industry, because the pharmaceutical industry is the primary donor for every single one of those entities. And yes, you have certain billionaires whose names are all over TV and all over the internet right now, but their donations are not necessarily equivalent to or can't be compared to the donations made by the pharmaceutical industry. The board members, the chairpersons, the people who are behind the scenes making the decisions work for pharmaceutical industries or formerly works for pharmaceutical companies. And if you understood that, then you would look at things a little differently probably. You'll realize that some of the choices that are made are not necessarily made in your best interest, but certainly in somebody's best interest. So that being said, here's how we protect ourselves from being manipulated by this system. We have to think differently. And so there are two ways to think: the illness care and the wellness care. So according to the illness care, if somebody is sick, the first thing they want to do is they ask themselves, according to this system, what can I take to feel better? Because feeling better seems to be their primary goal. When my encouragement to you is, rather than simply asking what do I need to take in order to feel better, why not ask, okay, so I'm sick. What can I do in order to get better? Because getting better has to be a higher priority than simply feeling better. Now, there are many, many drugs on the market. I would say the vast majority of them, they have a way of allowing us to feel better. They ease our suffering. They maintain us in our state of illness. But while they ease our suffering, they do not bring about restoration of normal function. What they hope on is that while they are easing your suffering, that the body will eventually heal of the ailment. But they don't actually promote healing. There are certain medications that are called different names, and these medications, because of their names, they sound very helpful. Or because of how they're referred to, they sound very helpful. But if you understood them, you realize that they cause just as much harm, if not more harm, than good. So you have to be careful I'm not saying that there are no good medications out there, and I'm not saying medication has no value, and I'm certainly not saying that medication cannot be appropriate at certain times. In fact, for the person who is unable to live a healthy lifestyle, or for the person who is unwilling to live a healthy lifestyle, then drugs and surgeries will be a necessary part of your life. We understand that it is what is, you are the person for whom it's designed. Now, if there's an emergency like a car accident or some trauma, then the system, the current healthcare system, is actually the best system to take care of those types of cases. Because the reality is, if somebody is in a car accident and has internal bleeding and so on, you certainly do not want to take that person to a chiropractor. You certainly don't want to give that person acupuncture. You want to go in there and stop that bleed. And the system that's designed to do that is the healthcare system. So please don't get me wrong into thinking that what I am saying is that there is no benefit to the healthcare system. There's tremendous benefit, because there are a number of persons who are gravely ill because of poor lifestyle choices. There are a number of persons who are very ill because of some accidents or some injuries that they suffered, and they need to be a part of that system. So if we work together, then what will end up happening is we can help persons at different ends of the spectrum to get better. Not to feel better, but to get better. And so we need to collaborate a lot more, I think. And I would love to see a world where, and I know that in certain countries, especially in Europe, here's an interesting, did you know? In several European countries or regions, there are hospitals that employ chiropractors to work with the patients in the hospital setting. So you go to a hospital, if you have, let's say, you're due to do back surgery, as a requirement before you do back surgery, you have to have a course of chiropractic care first. If the chiropractic care can help your situation, then you do not need to do the surgery. If it cannot help, then the surgery is recommended still. And so this is how they do things, collaborating together for the benefit of the patient. I have a dream that one day persons in white coats who have stethoscopes around their necks, who prescribe medications, will join hand in hand with other healthcare providers who have needles that don't inject things into the body, who have methods that don't put chemicals into the body, who honor and respect the natural herbs and minerals and plants and fruits and vegetables, who modify the positioning of the spine using their hands, to all come together for the benefit of humanity. If this were to happen, I believe that our world would be a much better place. Much better. Because we need each other. And our patients need us to work together. It's unfortunate that for many of us, we don't get that opportunity to see that happening. But it does happen around the world. And I hope that someday in Jamaica as well, it will happen. So let's move again. Wellness is not a part-time thing, and it's not a destination to arrive at. And so many people, when they speak about wellness, they speak about, I want to get well. In fact, when people are sick in the hospitals, we will either buy them a card, or buy them a balloon, or buy them flowers with a note written on it, get well soon. Wellness is not something to get. It's not about arriving at a wellness destination. Wellness is more about the journey, it's more about the process, it's not about the destination. And so rather than simply saying, what can I do to get well, or I hope I can get well, if we ask ourselves instead, what do I need to do ongoingly in order to stay well, then and only then will we have a chance of achieving wellness. Because wellness is an ongoing, never ending, until the day you die, of course, journey. It's a process that has to be followed through. So staying well has to be the bigger goal. And the last thing is staying alive. There's so many people who treat this whole thing of how long people live as the measure of how healthy somebody is. I know many persons who were very, very healthy but died young. And I know many people who are unhealthy that live long. Life and death is not about, in its entirety, it's not about how we, our life choices in terms of healthy living. It has a lot more to do with how our Heavenly Father, the Elohim of creation, how He sees it fit, how long He sees it fit to keep us around before calling us home. These are the things that determine how long we live, not the types of foods we eat. So, and not whether we smoke or not. There are many people who smoke cigarettes that live into their 90s and never get lung cancer or emphysema or any other such lung pathology. There are many people who eat poorly and they still are not overweight. They live a very long life and they die at an old age. And there are many people who live very healthy lifestyles and they die earlier. Now, the way they die and how quickly they move from perfect health or good health to death is what the difference is. Now, let me teach you something here. When persons, the time between your last healthy day and when you die is your period of illness that leads to your death. The period of illness that leads to your death is called your morbidity. How long you're sick before you die, that's your morbidity. Your mortality is how long you live. Now, your mortality is more likely to be improved with a healthy lifestyle, but it's not necessarily true. But what is definitely true is that your morbidity decreases significantly when you live a healthy lifestyle. Meaning that the time between when your last healthy day was and the day you die is extremely short. This is what we call your morbid period. So we have really a contracted morbidity, and we may have a prolonged mortality. But when you live an unhealthy lifestyle, you will have a protracted morbidity, or you may or may not have, depending on the type of issue that you have. Some things are not life-threatening, and some things you can live with the proper medical interventions. You can live for a long time with it. Your mortality can be extended through the use of medications and so forth. My goal is to have a very short morbid period before I die. So that, I like this story. A friend of mine, his father died in his 90s. And as he shared the story with me, he said, my father, when he was about to die, he was a farmer, he had his field, he went up on the hill, walked himself up the hill, dug a grave in one day with a shovel, came back down the hill, went back to the house, told his family that he's not feeling well, he's going to lie down, and he went to sleep and never woke up. And he ended up being buried in that same grave that he himself dug. Now that's beautiful. For me, that's beautiful. I hope to go in that exact same way. I might not want to dig my own grave. You know, I like work, but I'm not looking forward to doing that. That's a little bit morbid for me to be thinking about. I don't know what was going through his mind as he was doing it. If he knew that that's what was happening and that he was going to prepare himself. But gosh, isn't that beautiful? To live to be an old age of 93 with the ability to still farm and do your practices, and then to just go to sleep one day and wake up the next morning dead. That is beautiful. And yes, I know I said wake up dead. You know, I just find it cool. Yeah. All right, let's move forward, right? Because I want to really finish up this. Because we're about to speed up this process now, right? We want to not only stay alive, which is live long, but we want to feel alive, which is the quality of that life. And so if you were to look at the expressions on the left-hand side, where it says the illness care approach, it is feel better, getting well, staying alive. Feel, get, stay. That's the illness way of thinking. But the wellness way of thinking is just a subtle shift in your consciousness. It doesn't require a big change in your thoughts. It's a subtle change that results in the outcomes that we want. Get, stay, feel. That is really the key. That is ultimately what we want to achieve. Get, stay, feel. Get better, stay well, feel alive. Get better, stay well, feel alive. Now, the rest of the presentation, I know there are 7 keys, right? But the rest of them move by much faster. So let's go through these so that those of us who might still, might still be home will have an opportunity to, or might still be at work, will have an opportunity to get home in time to, you know, beat the curfew. So let's go. The truth about pain. Is pain a good thing or a bad thing? And take the time now in the chats to indicate whether, in your opinion, pain is a good thing or a bad thing. I'll just give you a second to write. Hopefully we have a lot of persons chiming in. Is pain a good thing or a bad thing? And there are some people who are saying bad thing, both. Jem says bad. I'm waiting if anybody thinks it's a good thing or not. So far, everybody thinks it's bad. But I guess the bads have it then. We have more people who say bad than good. Okay, there is somebody else that says good. Patricia says good. Good as a warning, not good for feeling continuously. Auntie Winsome says both. Well, irrespective of whether you think it's good or bad, there is something important to note, and that pain has a purpose, right? And the purpose of pain is that it alerts us that something has changed and requires our attention. Something has changed and requires our attention. I know the problem is that many people don't understand that pain is limited in what it can tell us. And so those persons who rely on pain to tell them when they're good or rely on pain to tell them when they're bad, they're setting themselves up to be misled by pain, because sometimes you can have a disease that does not cause any pain, and so if you're waiting for pain to warn you, it never warns you. And there are many such diseases, and one such disease is cancer. How many times have you ever heard of a woman who develops breast cancer say that they found out that they had breast cancer because they had pain in the breast? Most women with breast cancer at the time that they discovered it did not have any pain in the breast. In fact, the hallmark sign of breast cancer is a painless lump in the breast. That is a mass that doesn't have any pain or cause any pain when it is pressed. Isn't that something? So we can't simply wait for pain to tell us when something is wrong. So we can't trust pain. Feeling good doesn't mean we're healthy. If we want to have good health, we have to have healthy function. Our bodies have to be working appropriately if we want to consider ourselves to have good health. And the only way to know this is by doing things to assess or to promote the health of our systems, to promote the health of our bodies. And some of those things are well known, and some of them, for some people, it's a mystery. And it's a mystery because of how we are cultured, how we are raised to think about our bodies and to think about health. So let's look at it really quickly. There are several systems in the body. These systems are designed to keep us healthy, and they are designed to work in concert with each other. So when you look at these systems, they include the immune system, the digestive system, the nervous system, cardiovascular system, integumentary system, musculoskeletal system, excretory system, the reproductive system, endocrine, and the respiratory system. These are the different systems of the body. The integumentary system is the system that includes organs like the skin. The integumentary system or our integument are based on the coverings. The coverings. If the screen is flickering, it might be as a result of your internet connection. My internet connection seems good so far, so I don't think it's from me. I don't think it's my issue. It's been healthy and good for the last 47 minutes or so. So we're good on my end. So looking back at it now, there is something to note, that of all of these systems, even though they all work with each other, there is one system that is responsible for all the other systems and their function. In fact, that one system regulates the functions of all the other systems to ensure that they're working together and working appropriately for the body. That system is our nervous system. Our nervous system is considered to be our master control system of the body. Misalignments of the spine have a very special name. We call them vertebral subluxations in chiropractic. That's what chiropractors call them. Vertebral subluxations. And a subluxation can be physically a physical issue with the body, or it can be some other level issue with the body. But anything that causes the body to go into a state of disease or dis-ease first, which is illness before disease, which is, that's what the vertebral subluxation is about. Well, the since there are spinal misalignments, the question is, how does that impact our health? How does a misaligned vertebra affect our health to the point that a chiropractor even becomes an appropriate person to see under certain conditions? Well, if you look closely at the spine, what you will see is that there's a brain and your spinal cord, which runs down the middle of your spine. Those are the two major organs of your nervous system. And out from within these nerves the spine, come these lines here that you see, these yellow lines or these blue lines. You see some of these blue lines as well, that's coming off from the top and also going to the organs. These are what you call nerves. In particular, these are called your autonomic nerves. Autonomic nerves control the automatic functions of our bodies. Every organ is connected to the spine via these nerves. In fact, if you look closely at any organ, you will see that every single organ will have both a yellow nerve that goes to it as well as a blue nerve that goes to it. Yellow, blue. The heart, yellow, blue. And how do these things work? The nerves tell our organs what to do in terms of how much to work. If you are stressed or are in a situation where you're exercising or you need to run away from something or what have you, then there are changes that happen in your bodies to respond to that need. And those changes start to happen before you run or before you try to engage it. So it's not in response to your running alone that will cause your heart rate to speed up. Your heart rate actually speeds up before you start running. So what can cause your heart rate to speed up? Your brain, by way of the nerves, telling your heart that we're about to need greater blood flow to the muscles. Can you please beat a little faster, a little bit stronger, a little bit more powerfully, so that we can get the well-needed nutrients to the muscles to facilitate the running away or the fighting that we need to take on. But there also needs to be a nerve that tells the heart to slow back down. So the yellow nerve is a part of the automatic system that we call the sympathetic system. That is a fight or flight system. It speeds up the heart, it speeds up the breathing, it slows down the digestion, and it shuts off your immune system. Versus the parasympathetic system, which is the system that runs beside the sympathetic system. That's why they call it the parasympathetic system. And that system slows down the heart, slows down the breathing, speeds up digestion, and they come online whenever our bodies are in a state of relaxation. So these things are important for us to get, right? So there you have it. Chiropractors, by realigning the spine, we can influence the function of these nerves as they exit the spine, and these nerves can be irritated by a spinal misalignment. Now, if you irritate a nerve that carries the signal to speed up the heart, then you may find that it may trigger a response in that nerve when the nerve should not be firing, or when the body doesn't need you to have a heart rate speeding up. And so there are some people who are just sitting there and they say, my heart start racing for no reason at all. The reason it's racing inappropriately is because something is stimulating the nerve that controls its ability to speed up or slow down, reducing it, slowing down, and causing it to speed up. So that's how that works, right? When you restore proper balance to the nerves, you can restore proper function to your organ system, and not just the organ system, but to the entire system that governs the functions of your body. This is an example of what that might look like if you look at it closely. The middle bone is the bone that's out of alignment. The opening where the nerves exit is right here in the back. So when you push this bone out of alignment, it can squeeze off the nerve that exits that space. And if that nerve controls your heart rate, it may change the rate of your heart. If it controls your digestion, it will change how your body digests food. Have you ever eaten something yet, and when you eat it, it's as if it just sits down on your chest and don't go anywhere? It don't get digested, or you don't swallow it all the way? Have you ever thought of that and why that would happen? That's strange, yeah? But it's not so strange after all. It actually happens as a consequence of specific nerves that might get kind of thrown off in their function. There are three types of stresses, key four, coming to a close now. Three types of stresses that cause the body to break down and may cause a subluxation to occur. There are physical, biochemical, and psychological. Physical, like a car accident or a fall. Biochemical, like chemicals that we put into our bodies. Or psychological, things that we're stressed about, whether it's an emotional situation at home, at work, difficulties on the job, what have you. Now, the healthier the nervous system is, the better our bodies can adapt to the stresses in our environment. It is our nervous system that allows our bodies to adapt to the stresses in our environment. So I'll skip over this particular slide. We call our ability to adapt to our environment our general adaptive potential, our GAP. And chiropractic, because of its work on the nervous system, can improve the function of our nervous system. And if our nervous system is working better, then our ability to adapt to our environment is better. So we can resist changes in our environment, or we say that we can adapt to stress better. If you use chiropractic care, you can improve your ability to respond or resist illness by way of resisting the breakdown process that would have occurred otherwise. But the reality, gentle people, is that chiropractic alone cannot do this. You cannot simply rely on going to your chiropractor and expect to be healthy. You have to have a lifestyle of health. It is a lifestyle that provides health for you, not one activity. So in addition to chiropractic care, it is also important that you eat healthily, that you move appropriately by way of regular exercise or regular physical activity. There are some people, because of the nature of their jobs, they're very physical jobs, and because of the nature of their jobs, they stay pretty fit physically because they're a very physically demanding job, like construction workers. However, if you are not eating well, having a healthy, relaxing mindset, you are at a high likelihood of developing a disease and having a prolonged morbidity and dying of some disease process after several years of illness. I don't want several years of illness. I'm not interested in several years of illness. I'm interested in very short illness where I die soon after I start feeling ill. That's what I want. That's what I'm interested in. I wouldn't wish on anyone to have years of disease before you finally succumb to your disease. I would wish years of health and probably days of disease before you die. Isn't that better? Wouldn't you say that? I think that's better. I think that's better. But then again, I'm weird. Key number 6 is to identify subluxations wherever and whenever they occur. Subluxations are these misalignments, and we have technology that we've invested heavily in to allow us to be able to measure the presence of the effects of these things on the body and to see how bad it is. Now, it's not foolproof, but it does give us a good idea as to what's happening with the person. And these are things that we do. There are 2 specific types that we employ here at the office. One is a rolling thermal scanner. That's this one right here, where she rolls the thing up your back to measure the temperature of the skin on either side. And there's a surface EMG, which is some 2 paddles that measure the electrical activity in the muscles along the spine. These are the important things that allow us to be able to see and understand what's happening with somebody insofar as it relates to their nervous system. So what kind of doctor is a chiropractor? I'm going to try to use this diagram to explain what kind of a doctor is a chiropractor. Now, a chiropractor is a special kind of a doctor, one that focuses on using our hands to realign the spine in an attempt to improve the nervous system function. If it is true that the chiropractic adjustment can actually improve the nervous system function, then there ought to be a way of demonstrating this. And this test here is one such way that was employed to show that the chiropractic adjustment did in fact improve the function of the body. How does it do that? So let's talk about this really quickly. This lady was asked to do a simple task: wiggle her left ankle. And by wiggling the left ankle, they were able to monitor before the adjustment her brain activities, and after an adjustment her brain activities. So I'm going to just put these 2 brain images side by side so that you can see what happens. In the area before the adjustment, when she wiggled her ankle, there were areas of activity all over the brain. You can see these colored lights, blue lights, red lights, this bright light right here, all over the brain. When she was given the adjustment and repeated the task, they saw that much fewer areas of the brain lit up for the task of wiggling the ankle. When you have fewer areas of involvement in the brain to do the same task, it simply means that the brain is more efficient than it was before. It took more areas of brain function to do the same task before the adjustment as it did afterwards. So it doesn't require as much effort on the part of the brain in the case of after the adjustment. So this is important. And so one thing that we identify, or we can say from this, is that if you were to think about what the chiropractor is, chiropractors are not bone doctors, we're nervous system doctors, and the work that we would do influences the nervous system more than it does anything else. And that is the key. It influences the function of the nervous system, and thereby influencing our overall health. There is a specialty within chiropractic called chiropractic neurology. This is my subspecialty. I'm trained to realign the spine, but also, as all chiropractors are, but in the field of chiropractic neurology, we also retrain the brain itself through exercises and different activities that can improve brain function. And so this is something else that we do. So these are two things that, as with every other profession in healthcare, you have subspecialties where people can focus on certain areas that can offer even greater benefit to those patients who are ailing from these things. These are examples of things that I've treated: brain injuries, balance and movement disorders, neurodeficits, and so on. Not everything that I've treated, every patient that has had these things that I've treated have gotten better, but many have improved, some drastically, some not so much, but we've treated these types of conditions, and these are things that can be treated chiropractically using non-medicinal methods to improve their function. But still, sometimes we have to rely on our medical brothers and sisters to assist us with the management of some of these patients. Because as I indicated earlier, these things are more of a partnership between providers to give the best outcomes for our patients. And that's what I hope people will understand. We have specialized technology here that help us to identify subluxations whenever they happen. We also focus on educating our community, and we also focus on providing a program of chiropractic care for individuals that are, in need, and it's on a case-by-case basis. Now, this class is one way that we do this education, but we also do it by way of our Tuesday evening shows on the radio. So if you don't know, then I'd like to introduce to you our show Back to Health on RJR or Radio Jamaica 94 FM in Kingston, Jamaica, that you can tune in at 8 p.m. Jamaica time on RJR 94 FM or Radio Jamaica 94 FM to watch us as we discuss various health topics and try to break it down in a way that helps people to understand the different health conditions that are out there. And so far, I've enjoyed doing it again, and I think that people are learning, and I hope that we get to continue and nobody stops us. So education is big for us. All right. Final key number 7. Who's responsible for your health and well-being? Who's responsible for your health and well-being? The key to success in getting and staying well is for you to take responsibility for your health and well-being. In other words, we are responsible for our own health and well-being. Not our doctors, not our friends. We are. We are also responsible for the health and well-being of our family members. Our patients need to get that I am not responsible for your health and well-being. You are responsible for it. Not your doctors, not your neighbors, not your friends. You are responsible. So you have to make wise choices as it relates to your health. So it is incumbent upon you to inform yourselves adequately to make wise choices. My level of experience and knowledge causes me to think very differently when it comes to what I do or what I choose to do for my health. But you have to make wise choices, because some choices that people are making are rushed decisions because of the desperation of their illness. We don't want people to rush and make any decisions that they may end up regretting. So take your time, think through things, and make wise choices. If you follow our channel, if you become a subscriber to our channel, you can go to the videos section of our channel and look at the different testimonials that we have on there. This one with joy is one of my faves. I enjoy this one. I like this one. Now, we have a very special offer. We're at the end of the presentation, and for those of you who have sat through, slaved through, and are at this point with us, we have a special offer for anybody who is, and this is for our non-patients first, okay? For those of you who are not our patients, and yes, the slide says for appointments made tonight, but I will simply just say, not for appointments made tonight, but for those who express an interest tonight. And to express an interest, you simply have to go to appointments@gcnjamaica.com, and I'm including this in our chat section. Appointments@gcnjamaica.com. Indicate to them that you're interested in setting up an appointment and that you watched the video, and they will give you a discount for having watched the video that you can use toward your new patient examination. This is a completely no strings attached to this. In fact, I didn't even announce that this is something that I was going to do. We just have the class. Anybody who wants to take advantage of it, just say that you watch the class and you'll get this discount. How much of a discount do we get? You will get a 40% discount off your new patient exam and your spinal scan. 40% discount. That's a sizable discount. In Jamaica, we say that's huge because we don't normally see people offering a 40% discount. But I don't mind doing that because it encourages people to take care of their health, to take one step toward the wellness paradigm, and it makes it easier for entry, right? So 40% discount off the new patient exam and scans for anyone who, all you have to do is just send the message to appointments@gcnjamaica.com, and someone will contact you regarding this appointment. I've heard recently that our next appointment is somewhere in February. That makes me a little sad because it means that there's a lot of people who are suffering that can't come in right away to get help. It is not my desire for that to be the case, but if people are on the schedule, we can't simply just force them off. But if somebody should cancel, please ask to be placed on the priority waiting list if yours is an urgent situation. But if you're able to wait, just wait. Just wait. All right, but not everyone has that luxury, so I understand that. For my existing patients, those of us who have come in for at least your examination already, if you've already had your new patient exam, then you fall into this category of our existing patients. If you've already received your 40% discount off your new patient examination, you do not also get this discount. So it's one or the other. So for our existing patients, you will receive a 20% discount off your update examination, a referral discount of 20% off one treatment. That's 20% off one treatment per person that you refer. So for everybody you refer, you get 20% off one treatment for that person that you refer. And you'll get a 10% discount off the entire next phase of care. A phase of care at our office is about 12 sessions usually. And if we're putting people on a program of care, usually it's about 12 visits long. And so that 10% discount is 10% off that whole 12 visit routine. That makes it easier for those of us who are already patients of ours. So that's the presentation for tonight. As I indicated before, we are on RGR at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, RGR 94 FM for Back to Health. We also stream that class or stream that lecture on Facebook at Back to Health Talk Show. That's Back to Health Talk Show at facebook.com. So put it to it and you or type it in and you can like our Facebook page so you can follow us and see whenever we go live. We also have the Facebook page for the office and we post different nutrient tips and so on from time to time on our Facebook page. So please be sure to check that out as well. Or you can go to our website and see more about us. It's been a pleasure getting to serve you tonight and to spend this time. I hope that you really get the most out of this situation here that we have. Take advantage of what we offer. But more importantly, even if you do not live in Jamaica and you will never come here and be a patient of ours, make wise choices as it relates to your health. Don't just give up your health choices to a healthcare professional. Because at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, they are going home to their families unscathed. You are the one that's going to have to live with the mistake that they make if there's any mistakes made. So please make wise choices. Follow the advice of your doctors, but don't check your doors. Check your brain at the door. All right? I want you to make sure you remember that. Do not check your brain at the door. When you come in, keep your brain with you. Think, think, think. Make wise choices. I hope you enjoyed the lecture tonight. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to comment in the chat. We don't have a lot of time left, so I won't stay on very late. But if there's any questions, I'll hang about just for about a couple minutes. And if there are no questions, I'll jump back off and sign off for tonight. But thank you so much for being a part of our show. I hope you enjoyed it. And may God bless and keep you as we go along.